How old are you? 11? So 12. Wow.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to We Inspire Together. I am your host, Sha Hayes. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Hope you all are well. Here, along with me, is the founder of Inspire. We have a wonderful guest joining us today. She is a visual artist, international visual artist. Also, the CEO of Be Hill Artistry, along with she's a holistic and a plant-based specialist. So we have to get into that in terms of all her creativity, as well as connecting people with their health when it comes down to plant-based eating. So without further ado, let's welcome Be Hill. Hi, how are you? Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me today.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thanks for being with us. We're so excited to learn more.
Well, no problem. And I'm actually on my lives on my plant-based page, this side, my plant-based page, and my Be Hill Artistry page, both on Instagram. So I'm going to be pivoting. I'm going to be looking at 3 different screens.
Yeah, that's great. Well, let's dive into it. So, there's a multifacets of things that you do, but let's start with the visual art part of it. I'm assuming as a child, this is some kind of talent and gift that you knew you had. What was like the first thing you drew and when you knew you had this gift?
I would say the first thing that I can remember was I was in daycare and at the Monticello Daycare Center. And of course, you incorporate a bunch of subjects when it comes to daycare, pre-kindergarten. And it was this example, or it's this project rather, and it was paint. Put finger paint on both sides and you actually fold the paper, squash it together, feel it, practice some sensory skills, and then open it. And then my mom kept that painting for so long. And at the time we were living on the east side of Harlem. We were living in public housing, Jefferson, and she would put it over our bed that we both slept in. And I just looked at it every day and didn't see something different. Then my mom actually got married to a wonderful father of mine at the age of 4, and he was an illustrator. His brother's an illustrator, and they both introduced me to my first set of like charcoal pencils and color pencils.
Wow.
And from then, I was just like practicing and just exploring, I don't know, in different mediums of art. And then that led into like going to middle school. And then my middle school art teacher helped me audition to get into High School of Art and Design in Midtown Manhattan. Graduated from art and design, and then went to college for my BFA in painting, and then my master's degree in art education.
So when you think about in terms of just like the earlier parts of your life of being, like you said, the finger painting to then now having someone giving you your first set, a lot of it is nature and nurture, that if someone didn't give you the introduction, you may not have had the full cultivation of something that was a talent. So what do you think in terms of like children who may have that talent and parents seeing that, and what would help them to get started in cultivating that gift?
I think it can be something as simplistic as going to a free museum. Even if a museum isn't free, I know certain days they are free, like a Wednesday or a reduced price. So introducing children to other visual artists culturally, especially if you're African diaspora child, going to these museums allow them to see melanated visual artists, because a lot of times growing up, we go to school, we have the subject of art, but then there are artists that are European, so we don't have a lot of representation. But in contemporary art, we're getting there. So I would definitely say, like, take your child to museums, take your child to galleries. If you're in the New York City area, take your child to Chelsea galleries. Then slowly go to art, see what type of medium your child may like, and then you can go to art stores and buy your child certain things. YouTube, for example, there's a lot of art videos, instruction videos on YouTube. practice, drawing or sketching or painting with your child there. So it can start little by little by those, baby little steps outside of school.
That's great advice, because I'm thinking in terms of, give them paint, but you're saying allow them the visual connection to art in order for them to be able to less manifest those things in their mind on their own.
Right.
That's a great thought in terms of like letting a parent to know that and just letting them see it so they can be connected to those things visually. So when you look at the medium in terms of different art, people think, okay, you know how to paint. What other things, other visual art, when people think about that, the broad perspective of that, can you kind of expand upon what does that actually mean?
As far as like the painting itself as a medium?
Yeah, and what other aspects of it in terms of, I guess, a profession that people can look at? Because people think visual artist means you paint and that's it.
Well, I would say look at everything that we do day to day. Look at the computers, literally the phones that you're on. Look at the beds that you sleep in, the clothes that you wear, the car that you drive in. All of those things are created by artists. They're interior designers. They're computer designers, there are graphic designers, illustrators, muralists. It doesn't only there's so many mediums when it comes to art that to confine it to just the paint medium itself is just ridiculous to me. And learning that, going to art school, is particularly going to Pratt Institute, and you just walk through the campuses and walk through the different departments and see what materials people are using. Literally, you can create sculptures with just stuff you find in the dumpsters. And what I've learned in earning my BFA, my old professor, Mac Adams, for color theory, he always said, it's not about talent when it comes to the bourgeoisie art world. It's more about conceptual thinking. So if you can get a child to conceptually think, creative think, critically think, then you can get him or her to create that has some sort of matter, some sort of subject matter, some sort of meaning. So it's so many different rabbit holes when it comes to art. I would hate for people to confine it only to painting. It doesn't make sense at all.
Which makes me think about, because as a child, thinking about when you're always taught or introduced to that, people think it has to be a gift. It has to be something internal that, that's awakened. Mm-hmm. Can you be taught to be an artist?
I think you can be taught. I've seen some of my students, because I've been teaching for about over 5 years. So I've taught adults with mental disabilities, and I've taught children from elementary to high school. So I've seen some of my students, the young students at least, come in and say, Miss Hill, I can't draw. I can't do this. I'm not doing it. But then if you teach them the basic techniques and you guide them, there's certain tools that may help you draw a straight line. There's certain techniques of smudging and shading that can help you apply value, also known as making an object look three-dimensional on a piece of paper. Once you are able to practice those techniques, learn those techniques through demonstration, practice them over and over, you can acquire an art skill. Yeah, but the passion and the talent, I've seen people that are way more passionate about art, and they don't necessarily have the talent as far as whoever's eyes of aesthetic pleasing, and they make it way further than those who can just make a masterpiece.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's to me, it's about both. It's about a good balance of both.
Well, that's a good spectrum to understand, because I guess as parents, oftentimes the art is often looked at as that's a hobby. It's not a job. It's not something you should take, as a full-time thing. But people are having full professions that, like you said, from everything that's around us, people can actually go into graphic design and art design, and even from cars to the blankets we wear at night. Because people think as artists you starve. You don't actually become a professional in a career. So how would you advise, other than the museums, to help, I guess, push along and understand for people to say, this is a profession. You should allow children to be really fully, and submerged into that.
Well, the question I would ask to just to get someone's acquisition up is just to say, well, you think that artists may not make enough money, or you can't live a life being an artist, right? Then I would say, well, what do you want to be? Someone, one of my students says, I want to be a pharmacist. Okay, so who are you going to hire to market your pharmaceutical establishment? Who's going to create your business cards? Who's going to create that board that's going to be above your pharmacy to get people to come in? Who's going to create the logos that you're going to put on that board and put the logo on your pharmaceutical jackets? That's that whole branding and marketing. They hire someone to do that, and that someone is an artist.
As an artist.
Right. That, that's the graphic design portion of it. I don't know, it's just so many parts of it. It's just ridiculous. Silk screening, sculpting. Some people who may want certain sculptures for their buildings or for their institutions, they go to artists for that. And it's just it's a different type of hustle too. That's what I've noticed throughout my years after graduating school and making it a profession. Oh, I hope my thing. Sorry, I thought my thing came out. But yeah, that's what I'll definitely say. I'll ask the questions. Usually I like to ask questions to get people's minds.
I understand that. Yeah. So explain, I guess, about in certain mediums, you got to create a portfolio. What does a portfolio look like in terms of capturing whatever version of your art, and how expansive does it need to be in order to, show and showcase your artwork?
But that depends on what you're auditioning for or what you're who you're presenting to. So for example, like auditioning to Pratt or auditioning to high school, if it's a child's coming from middle school, they usually want a range of work. They want a range of work, I would say ideally 12 to 15 pieces containing different mediums. So they might want a painting. They might want a picture of a sculpture that you've done. They might want a picture of some silk screen prints. They might want some illustrations with pen or with pencil, mixed media piece. They want to see what variety that you do have when you're applying to particular schools. Now, when you're talking about a portfolio where you're trying to be hired, I would say if you're trying to get hired for a series of murals around the city, and that person is giving you a stipend for those particular murals, that person that's going to write your check is essentially going to want to see a portfolio of other murals that you've completed. So it all depends on what the school's requirements are if you're looking to audition for a school, and then also looking for who you're actually presenting yourself to, as far as any artistry work or freelance work that needs to get done.
And talk about funding, because a lot of times people don't realize there's funding that's out there that you can, like you said, from stipends to grants, that you can actually go out and say, I want to do this, and I can go now submit that for a grant. How much in terms of your knowledge about that and helping people to fund their vision about what they want to capture?
Funding, I would say it just takes a lot of, as far as grants and things of that nature, it takes a lot of research, and it takes the knowledge of someone who is business minded or has some sort of business degree. I wouldn't say even degree, because you can find out this stuff without even going to college, but I would say the language of things like an LLC versus an incorporation. You know what I mean? So you would have to, I would say you have to just, it's hard. I would definitely say that you have to find something that you're really good at, whatever medium it is, and see what career you can go with. My career choice was teaching. So a lot of my wealth or income was coming from teaching, whether it's teaching virtually or teaching inside of a classroom, or either teaching through my art education foundation. The other route, again, like I said, doing the research to find those grants and fill out all those applications for grants. There's also sort of galleries have residency grants. So they allow you to work in their studios for 6 months, and they give you a stipend to work in the studio and then have a big show at the end of your residency. Museums and galleries actually do that as well. And I think that's about, and then selling your work, which I'm not that good at. I'm in need of someone who's good at marketing. So if you're on my Be Heal Artistry page right now, and you're great with art marketing, please DM me or email me, because that's something that's my weakness right now, selling my actual paintings.
Yeah. Well, one thing about this platform is that we have a vast amount of people that we connect people to. We've had so many people come on and they've been able to be connected to someone. So as you speak out to the universe, that will be connected to you, and I believe that will happen for you. And you talk about your art education program, and Be Heal Artistry is that organization that you have. Explain to the audience about the founding of that, and what did that go into you deciding to bring that about.
That actually came from me wanting to create more like a business out of my passion, especially going to school where everyone is like a politics, economics, and law, mathematics, all these different, majors people were majoring in college, and then they see me and I'm in the studio working, and they're like, well, you're an art major? Whoa, well, what are you going to do with that? How are you going to make money with that? I didn't know. I didn't care. Money was not the motive. Happiness and living my purpose was, and it's to this day. And I knew that the money was going to come eventually. Whether it's slow or steady, whether it's fast and quick, I just know that it was going to come. So thus, that's when I decided to incorporate the brand Be Heal Artistry. And then studying with my uncle, who was my fiscal agent, and balancing out, the incorporation versus the LLC, copyright, trademark, all these different things. So what I wanted to ensure that I had, some sort of business that was, registered, where I can do things like give myself a monthly budget, write my own treasury reports, so that I can just hand it over to my accounts in every business fiscal year, so that I am, noticed by the IRS. If I'm talking about in a corporate mindset, following my business as a business incorporation, also have an EIN number, and knowing that I don't have to apply for things as an individual entity. I can really write it up as an incorporation. So there's different things that, you just gotta either know somebody who's going to teach you this language, or you are going to have to study it yourself. And again, there's a video for everything. So I feel like, or even like speaking to a consultant at LegalZoom, these people will stay on the phone with you. They're working from home now. They will stay on the phone with you and break down things that you are interested in: prices, fees, payments, all of that. The bureaucracy of all. They had that. So that's the reason why I really wanted to do it. Part of it to just say, like, I'm not out here struggling, which is that's an ego mindset, because everyone struggles.
Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes are, there's no success without struggle. So. I could either go to medical school and be miserable, or I can just be the artist that I am and be happy about serving, my community and youth artistically and creatively.
Like you say, you're living your purpose. And what is living without living a purpose? So that's awesome. So when you say in terms of your business, so is it a corporation? Is it LLC? Is it nonprofit?
It's an incorporation now.
Okay.
I'm in the process of a 501c3. So I'm on the edge of actually completing the application. I'm not sure, because I've just made the decision to live abroad, which I want to just talk about that briefly. New home. And I don't really think I would need the 501c3 in that particular country. I can still. I've been practicing, 3 countries over the last 4 years without the 501c3. So what is it to, rush and go through another headache of paperwork that I've already gone through with my incorporation? So I'm still thinking about that right now.
Yeah. And it's about like the variation of what your premise to what your direction of your business is going into. So it definitely makes a difference. Like, are you, willing to share what your plans are as far as where you're going to go living abroad? Or is that still kept secret right now?
Oh no, the plans are going to remain the same. Right now, my partner and I, we've already started to map out up to, I would say, about 7 to 10 forms of income right now. A lot of that is underneath the umbrella of holistic healing, plant-based eating, and then my art education or art instruction and just art creation ideology or practice rather. So that's what we're going to be doing there. So nothing is really going to change. It's just going to be in a better place, bigger place, and have access to more resources and more peace of mind.
So you spoke about the plant-based eating, and also part of your things that you have underneath your umbrella of titles is that you're holistic and plant-based eating specialist. What does that mean? And I guess explain the journey to you getting to that place.
I would say it just means that literally, I specialize in those two things through self practices, self teachings, and like hardcore experiences. So I would definitely say so I've been plant-based for about 5.5 years almost. Going on 6 years, I would say in June. And
so prior to that, were you vegan or a vegetarian, or were you meat eating prior?
I was eating anything. My background is Southern American, Harlem. So grandparents particularly, grew up in the small town of Santee, and literally just pig, everything.
Rooted to the tutor, as they say.
And it was like this big thing. My grandmother said, we don't waste no part of the pig, and we harvest one pig from her backyard every year. And that was something I was part of growing up on. So that changed.
So what happened? Was it research? Was it just you deciding you wanted to do something different with your life? What made you decide I don't want no longer to consume meat?
It was through going to a class. I would say that's what actually ignited the whole change. I was going to a free class, a cultural class in Brooklyn at Medgar Evers College with a instructor. His name is Born Mastermind Allah. He was a member of the 5% Nation of God's Earths. And he basically had these free classes every Tuesday at 5 p.m. And I met people at the Dance Africa Festival in Brooklyn, downtown Brooklyn. And from then I met them, and then they were, it's a bunch of like-minded people, very into their culture, into dance, into eating, healthy eating, just a whole bunch of different things that I experienced, by living in Brooklyn. And they actually invited me to come to the class. I started going to the class, and from my first class, I was hooked. The class basically broke down eating for your genetic makeup, eating for, the melanin carbon compound, melanin being our pigment, as well as our neurological system. And that is what makes literally Black people Black. And broke down the diet for that particular biological genetic makeup. So it just made sense. I was doing a little bit of research on animal cruelty and things of that nature. Like I've hosted a few programs while in undergrad 9 years ago. I'm a member of Zeta Phi Beta, and I was, the PR. So I host programs, and two of the programs was called How Do You Like Your Meat, Part 1 and 2. And it was just talking about the hidden issues of meat eating, what they do to get your furs and your Uggs and this and that. But none of that really didn't allow me to change. I didn't really feel like it was, I said, okay, animals die every day, whatever. That wasn't really my concern. But once I started to learn it as far as a health perspective, a genetic perspective, then it just made sense. And once I've learned all of that, I just got deeper and deeper, started studying more and more, started studying different fastings, different foods. Then it went into studying more of alkalinity, studying people like Dr. Layla Africa, studying Jewel Pookrum, Dr. Sebi, Arnold Ehret, all of these people, they had these books, they practiced, they healed people, they healed themselves. And then that's what, got me into the holistic side of it as well.
So we have a question from Regina McKay. She said, did you find it difficult to transition into plant-based eating, and did your body reject or easily adjust at first?
I would say my body adjusted it very well. I felt like it made me feel so good. It made me feel lighter. It enhanced my senses. My skin, my hair, my nails, my thoughts. And as far as the only thing that made it hard to transition was my environment around me. Living with my parents at the time, them not, adapting.
I ain't eating no plants, I'm eating meat.
Exactly. Also, that I can take accountability for that because it was my delivery with it. And when everybody first goes, plant-based, so when everybody, first finds a certain amount of information that is outside of television or any type of media propaganda, they want to come at people and like, no, this is what you did. And a lot of people aren't receptive to that type of information. So that's how I came off. And what I got in return was, girl, please, I'm not changing what I'm eating. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That was what was challenging for me as far as transitioning. I knew what I wanted to do. I was going to do it. I've been plant-based since then. I might have dipped and dabbed in things that maybe contain dairy my first 3 years of plant-based living, but I was like, this is, I know this information is real, and it's multiple books and it's multiple articles and multiple research that's literally leading back to this one direct thing. So it makes me feel very comfortable to live this lifestyle.
Well, what do you say to those, I guess, non-believer who are diehard meat eaters? Like, animals were put on this earth for us to consume. It's a cycle of life. Like, how do you, and I guess because, your battle is not about convincing people of your purpose and what you're driven to do for your own self. But for those who feel like I would never do it because, this is what it says I'm supposed to do in terms of consume meat. How do you combat that? My
question is, who says you're supposed to consume meat? Like, where did that come from? You know what I mean? However, I'm also I'm new experiencing this thing where people are eating for the genetic makeup. And, I'm advising that, you eat intuitively. You eat for what you feel gives you the most energy, what gives you the most mental clarity, what helps you heal. So there's different aspects of eating. And when people tell me, the cycle of life and things of that nature, it's like, that makes sense as well. But you have to also look at history, look at our ancestors, whether it be Kemetic, ancient Kemet, Egypt, Ethiopia, or the Olmec civilization, whatever part of the world indigenous people are, when they were eating these animals, they were eating them seasonally, and they were eating them for rituals. So they would eat them once. They would eat like I don't know. They would eat like a cattle or something once, and then they'll go on a detox, a cleanse, or a fast 7 to 21 days after that. You understand? So it's like, now it's, you have to program people's minds to think like, do you think it's necessary for you to have that burger every single day? So I just think that it's about gradually getting yourself back to your body's original functioning. A lot of our bodies are off. We're eating off a circadian rhythm. We're eating at far more frequent than we need to be, not giving our digestive system enough time to digest what we had literally like yesterday.
Yeah.
But I think that in the form of healing, the alkaline diet is the best as far as what I've seen.
Let's speak about the alkaline diet and what that actually is. Like, we were talking about it earlier before the show, like the alkaline diet. What does that consist of?
I would say for the alkaline diet, it consists of, this is the theory, okay? The alkaline diet, 2 people that I've studied that actually taught the alkaline diet, Dr. Arnold Ehret and Dr. Sebi. Dr. Arnold Ehret I don't think he's still alive, so was a European man, and he practiced the alkaline diet, eating foods in high alkalinity, opposite of acid, and things that are, not grafted or hybrid, didn't go through any hybridization. With that, he did his studies, went around the world. He actually ate mucusless. Because what they say is when you eat foods that are high in acidity versus the alkalinity, it's not a balance. It causes an excessive amount of mucus in the body. Thus, it creates inflammation, and that's where illness and disease occur.
Okay.
So when he practiced this and he went eating foods that did not cause him mucus for a certain amount of time, his pigments start to get darker. And then he also talks about the paleness, how paleness can equate or exemplify illness. Richness, darkness exemplifies health. So he noticed that when he started to eat this mucusless diet, he started to become a darker color, in which they thought he was of a melanated race, whether it be Indian, African, whatever may have you. Dr. Sebi, that's more of a contemporary story. He started the healing, after being damn near morbidly obese, incompetent, diabetes, all of these things. He went on a 90-day fast with alkaline fruit juices and water that were high in alkalinity, and cured himself from all diseases, thus creating the Usha village in Honduras, and curing over 70 plus, hundreds. But at the time of his supreme his Supreme Court ruling of he ended up being not guilty. He brought up 70 plus people to actually prove that he wasn't lying or he wasn't having any like malpractice or collecting people's money and tricking them, because people showed up at the Supreme Court ruling that were cured from AIDS, HIV, sickle cell anemia, blindness, herpes, people who were paralyzed, high blood pressure, any illness that you can name. These two individuals, amongst other herbalists around this world, have cured it through liquid fasting and herbal cleansing and herbal detoxification.
So your positioning is for most people who believe for plant-based diets that most of the things that the illnesses that are afflicting us are directly connected to the meats that we're eating, or just even some of the foods in general that we're eating, because pesticides are some things that could be put onto it. Even plants can be causing afflictions to illnesses as well. So how do you deal with that aspect of it? Because unless you're growing your own food, you're still dealing with somebody now managing the toxins that can still be put into your body through that.
Right, that's a great question. I would say pick your poison. That's like one of my best quotes. Pick your poison. If I know that I'm in America and the FDA approves of a plethora of things that other countries, like the other sides of the world, certain European countries or even Australia, they don't allow certain things that the FDA allows here. So you should start looking at those things and compare and contrast. Once you see, they're approving this preservative in America, but in the UK, they're not allowing any of those products to enter into their borders. Why is that? Then you look at what that preservatives does to the body. A lot of it is neurological damage. A lot of it is reproductive damage. And then you can go from that. I would say also compare and contrast it with Dr. Sebi's list. I don't believe in living 100% alkaline, because I believe everything is in a balance outside of healing. Now, when I was curing myself in the human papillomavirus, I stuck to that list. About 9 months to actually do it, but I ate raw and took these herbs with the foods that were approved. Then after that, I went on a 40-day liquid fast. 2 weeks later, I went back to my OBGYN, got my test results. Everything was non-detected over the whole lab result.
When you were diagnosed with HPV, which is known as human papillomavirus, was this prior to you being able to conceive? Were you having issues? Had it becoming an issue in terms of conception for you?
No, not at all. I wasn't in a serious committed relationship at the time. My partner now, we met, I would say, a couple of weeks after I finished the first 40-day fast. So I was dating someone that it's like I have two different theories of how it was contracted, either the individual I was dating versus me actually getting the Gardasil shots back when I was 13, 14. So that's another discrepancy when it comes to the whole notion of vaccinations, because we don't know what's really inside of these things and what's being injected in us. And if I would have got if I've gotten the vaccine as an adolescent, why is it showing up at the age of 28 or 27 in a pap smear? So, and then there's so many different strands, it just gets really messy. So I would definitely say, that this, eating is like different categories of eating to heal. Eating to sustain yourself. People don't eat. People, they get one-sided and they're like, "Oh my God, I have to be alkaline. I have to be alkaline electric." It's like a big movement going on with alkaline electric, but people don't really understand that Dr. Sebi created that list to start people off with to heal themselves, not necessarily live with 110%. Because he himself, after healing himself for years, he started incorporate fish back into his diet. But he was also living in the tropics, where he got his fish straight from the water and not frozen
in the market
in a dry, 3 days.
So is alkaline different from liquid dieting, or is that the same? Just because I'm not familiar and I want to learn more. So, and for the people that are watching, is there a difference between the two?
So alkaline it's just eating foods that are high in alkalinity. So that's a particular diet. I would classify that as a diet. So it will say someone that says I'm alkaline, meaning they wouldn't necessarily prefer anything that's outside of the Dr. Sebi list, which is crazy to me. In addition, they would accept things that are hybrids. They wouldn't accept things that are underneath the 7.0 alkalinity. So if you test the pH balance of a particular fruit, vegetable, herb, or grain, if it's not wild, if it's not high in alkalinity over the 7.0, and also if it's I would say if it didn't undergo any hybridization. But it's like we've been growing food for thousands of years. Mostly what we have on our shelves nowadays is somewhat hybridized.
Right.
That's what it comes back to, pick your poisons for me. But my stance is I am 100% plant-based as is. Will it change? I don't know, especially, living in tropical climates where I can see a Rasta, or I can see a native fisherman catch my fish, and it's created without any hormones, without any plastic, or whatever it may have you. Also no, but have I eaten fish in the last 6 years? Absolutely not.
So
Regina wants to know, how can she find out more about this?
I would say you can look up. I'll say look up something of Dr. Sebi if they haven't censored anything on the internet from him yet. I mean, well, they have been, but if they haven't taken up all of the information about him, Professor Arnold. I actually have some books here. Dr. Arnold Era is the healing system. This is the professor that I was telling you about that talked about the mucusless diet, something that Dr. Sebi actually got some inspiration from. And then this is another book. It's Alkaline Herbal Medicine. This is dealing with the herbal part of like healing. Sorry, I'm going to show all you guys. I don't know if I showed all my cameras. I keep forgetting I'm on 3 cameras. And
they can also contact you, right,
oh,
Dee?
Yeah, because I don't want to like sell myself. I mean, I appreciate people booking consultations, but a part of my consultation is just to get people to become their own researchers, not to depend on me. Like, I'm going to give you it from my own research and my experience. And I'm going to also give you a system that I've created to help you heal yourself. But part of this lifestyle is to have the acquisition to do the research yourself. So that's why I like to give people resources so that they're knowing that I'm not just talking out of my head. Like, these are people that have been studying this in the 40s, probably earlier than that. But yeah.
So what would you, in terms of, in addition to if someone's in their mindset of like, all right, I'm going to do it, I'm going to take the leap of doing maybe vegetarian or hopefully getting to vegan and hopefully being plant-based, to then like, how do you slowly, and then in addition to that, create some kind of supplements? Because there are some things that you can't just get from plant-based diets. What suggestions do you have in terms of creating the supplements to those diets?
I would say, so what I would do is like, figure out when you want to become plant-based, whether that be next month or next 6 months or next year, right? Break that down. Like I always, recommend that my clients get like a journal and start to separate your journal according to the different weeks or the different months that you want to slowly wean your way off of certain foods. Someone is eating like a standard American diet. I would say, for this month, all right, we're half of April. For the rest of April, try to eliminate processed sugars. Start to slowly take out things out of your refrigerator and your cabinets that aren't naturally grown from earth. Did it have a seed? If it was processed, how long was it processed? What kind of processing, thing that it go through, and what's its shelf life? Anything that has a long shelf life, you should be just chug it. What I mean? Then after that, I would say, slowly start like if you still do pig. Some people still out there like that. You got to be considerate. Tell yourself, okay, you can only have pork once a week for the rest of this month. And because next month it's going to be no more pig, what I mean? And then that month, do the same thing, do the same scaffolding system. Have red meat once a week for this whole entire month. And then that following month, there's no more red meat. Then it's just white meat, quote unquote, chicken, fish, turkey, what I mean? And then same thing, keep gradually giving yourself that opportunity. Because most people aren't a cold turkey type cutoff like me and my partner. Once we found out the information, it was like done. We're a done deal. And then we've, practiced it long enough to know that this is the diet that's actually for us. We've healed ourselves. It helps us mentally, spiritually, holistically. And now we feel like after curing ourselves, we feel like, yeah, we can continue with this lifestyle because it's still very sustainable. We get our energy, get our nutrients. We're not against the going to see a doctor because they have the technology to look at lab results and things of that nature. So once that blood work is good, regular checkups are great. Clearly, like the diet is, compatible to who we are.
Yeah.
So I would do that. I would definitely do that. Like you have to give people stepping stones. And then of course, if people book a consultation with me, we'll go way more in depth. I'll create like a whole scaffolding system for them, take notes, and they also get a review email with resources and everything that allows them to, meet their goal when they're ready to meet their goal.
Because you were saying in terms of there's an identity approach in terms of trying to figure out what best suits, because it's not a one size fit all.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I definitely don't think so. I can, like, I've had conversations with some people who were plant-based for just as long as me, and they went back to eating meat. And just listening to their stories about whether it be, foggy brain, dealing with some sort of deficiencies, just not having a healthy body weight on them, depression. There's so many different things that I've met with people, and they told me, like, literally, like I went back to having a piece of fish after 60 years, and my pineal gland, my third eye was literally like vibrating, like it felt really good. And I'm like, that actually makes sense. A Caucasian friend of ours, she said the same thing. She was just like, I've been doing some studies on raw meat eating. Now, if you understand the genetic makeup of a Caucasian, and how most Europeans are found to have a very like 0.5% of Neanderthal blood, Neanderthals, have that, genetic makeup of an animal. So not to say you should be going and attacking animals and eating all bloody meat. No, but, flesh might be something that could be more compatible to your genetic makeup. Thus, you might need it for that level of iron or protein or whatever the case may be. But for me, I know that I'm good off plants. If I feel like I was to eat fish in a tropic somewhere, it'll just be because I want to.
Because it's there, and because like you said, it came straight from where it's sourced from versus from a tank or as they call farm raised. I'm still trying to understand it's farm raised.
I can break it down if you're interested.
Well, I saw a video somebody posted the other day, and it was like all these tilapia fish inside these tanks, and I'm like, ew.
Yeah. It's just terrible. Like tilapia is like one of the worst pieces of fish you can ever put in your body. Salmon is the best if you are the pescatarian route. And also just knowing that some salmon is wild caught, because if it's a farm raised and they're feeding them things like soy, which has synthetic estrogen in it, is one of the highest causes of breast cancer, and ovarian cyst. And then they're also feeding them things like, I don't know, pig feces, I've read before. So it's a bunch of stuff that's inside of that that container, and feeding them other chemicals with the soy and the pig feces and all the other things. And then also you got to think of it on a spiritual level. These are wild animals. You're confining them, and they're just swimming in same cycles over and over and over again. And then you're brutally killing them, and then you're consuming
this angry, disgruntled fish. You're consuming angry fish. So imagine what that's going to do to your spirit. Yeah.
Fearful. They're fearful. They're mourning. All of that energy is cyclical. So picking up all of that, it's not for everybody, but it's for some people.
Yeah. But what someone said to me when we were having this debate about the farm raised versus getting your fish wild caught? Well, what about all the stuff they put in the ocean? We got to worry about they dumping oil and tanks dropping in the barrel. So then where's that debate? When you tell somebody, when they say that, I would rather have my fish in the tank than in the ocean that all this pollution is going on.
My thing is I just don't eat it. Like that's just what it is. Like if a guy, I'm like, it's funny you said that, because me and my partner watched a documentary recently called Seaspiracy on Netflix. Seaspiracy. And it just breaks down all of it's this guy who just traveled the world to just figure out what is the issue when it comes to the oppression or the apartheid. I don't even know how they call it, but just the genocide of the ocean floors in general. And it basically, I don't even want to spoil the documentary, watch it. Basically comes down to the overconsumption of eating fish. It's not necessarily the plastic in the fish. It's not necessarily the toothbrushes, as they say, or the plastic straws, or the plastic bags, or the oil spills. It's more so the overconsumption of fish, to where they're using these mounds of fishing nets to scrape football fields of ocean floors, and the nets itself is causing the pollution. So if we were to eat again intuitively, or eat seasonally, we won't have that much destruction over the ocean floors. So people who are making that argument are not really being conscious of the earth itself. They're making that argument because they enjoy eating fish, not necessarily for the omega-3s and the proteins and things.
Exactly. Because you tell somebody they can't handle crab legs, it's going to be a fight somewhere, because that's like the big thing, in terms of like crabs and everything. Yeah. But when you think about, I guess, the journey you've had from your meat eating to being where you presently are, plant-based, people often think money-wise it's going to be expensive, and then what am I going to eat? I'm going to have salads all day. So talk about, I guess, the expense of it, in addition to what do you eat?
Okay, I feel like, so here's the thing. It's the difference between veganism and plant-based, right? Veganism can get pricey because you're buying a bunch of processed things that are mimicking the foods that you used to eat. So a pack of non-soy, gluten-free vegan sausage patties will cost you about $7, instead of just maybe substituting that vegan sausage for a bowl of chickpeas. A pack of chickpeas is only $1 something. You know what I mean? You can find a Goya brand chickpeas for $1.98, and I don't know, depending on where you are, whether you're in New York and you get it from Food Town, or you're in LA, you get it from Sprouts. You can stretch a pound of chickpeas for 2-3 days. You know what I mean? So it's just about people budgeting, and about people really taking the time out to know, to get ideas of meals. Number one, figure out what meals can last longer. And going to places where they like going to more local markets or farmers markets, local markets that are a lot smaller rather than Whole Foods. People think they're going to go plant-based and they're going to, go alkaline, and they run straight to Whole Foods, and then they spend $100 on 3 days worth of food. Issue. So when I say local markets, I mean like for example, I'm out in the Southern California area now, and there's a bunch of small little markets, Mexican owned, and you can get a lot of what's on the Dr. Sebi's list if you want to go alkaline, and get key limes and burro bananas and chickpeas and things of nature for under $10, and that should literally feed you for 2-3 days. So it's just about eating when you need it. I would say the hardest thing is when it comes to, like, as far as financially, is the fruits. But if you want to still get your fruits in, you can go and find, a bag of organic frozen fruits and make smoothies instead of buying fresh mangoes and strawberries and blueberries. You can get things, organic bag from, if you guys are in the Southern California area, and get State Bros. State Bros has like $3 bags of frozen fruit, and you can make yourself 3 smoothies out of that one bag. So again, I think that's also something that I offer too. Me and my partner offer too on like our internal plant-based platform. We do meal planning, a meal plan consultation, where we're breaking down, meals for the entire week or whatever you book, whether 3 days or 7 days. And then we also go through what we need from the grocery store. So instead of having to walk up and down the aisle and read labels all day, we're going to go through that grocery list, and we're going to make estimates and say, we cannot go over this budget. And I'm going to show you how we can make $50 work for the next 3 days.
Wow. Yeah. Well, give a sample, I guess, from a day to waking up, being a plant-based, person in terms of your diet. From breakfast to lunch and dinner, like I said, people think plant-based means all you're eating is salad all day long, because the mind doesn't expand beyond that. There's vast amount of vegetables out there. But what is your typical meal in a day?
My typical meal, I would say, typically quinoa, avocado, a side salad, maybe some sauteed mushrooms and peppers and onions. That's like my go-to, really quick, just to have a bowl of like fresh steamed quinoa, sauteed mushrooms, peppers and onions, avocado on a salad, typically. or maybe just a bowl of fonio in the morning. And that would be like your multi-meal or your oatmeal. But fonio is a grain, high in plant protein, and a plethora of other minerals that are in fonio. But yeah, and I feel like I get three packs of fonio from a company that I've researched that I found on Amazon. And a cup of fonio can make a huge pot of like your morning porridge. And you could just put some fresh fruit on top of that, and then you're good for a couple of hours.
And that's the other thing. People think plant-based again means only, vegetables. Of grains are included in that. So that's the other thing.
So if you look at if you want to go by again the Dr. Sebi list, there's a plethora of grains on there that you can not get bored. So there's wild rice, there's quinoa, there's kamut. Make kamut like fried rice. Wild rice is more like black rice, so it's you can do anything with that. It just takes a little bit longer to actually cook. Quinoa, you can do everything with quinoa that you do with rice. I've made quinoa jambalaya. I've seen for all of like my West Africans out there making jollof. I've seen somebody make jollof quinoa. Caribbeans, you can make Trinidadian doubles, Trinidadian roti, all things just without using any animal products, just straight plants and spices and herbs.
Yeah, I've seen this jackfruit kind of thing that, the craze about creating jackfruit to be all these variations of things. So, is jackfruit one of your specialties too that you use in your meals?
I don't really use it too much. And I would say jackfruit is another hybrid. And I'm not big on hybrids too much. But when I do have jackfruit, I'll have it at a restaurant. I've had an experience and that's another thing. Again, I'm noticing about the studies that I conduct and its reaction on my body. So some people might say, "Oh, hybrids aren't that bad," and I'll be like, "I agree." However, I did take jackfruit fresh in Ocho Rios, Jamaica, and it had my whole gums itching. Fresh, jackfruit. But if it's cooked into like a jackfruit pulled pork slider or something, and not have that issue. But yeah, I would say it's a bunch of substitutes. Like there's a plant in the jungle for any type of meat substitutes that you may be craving.
Like I know I was looking through your plant-based page and I was like, oh, this okra dish, and it's like okra can only be made, people got to have a real specialty and know how to handle it. But I was like, I can get down. When you look at it, it looks inviting, and people like all of them think that it's going to be so boring and dull and I'm going to miss. But when you think about, if you take the time out, everything you think about, you crave, that you think you want, you could create a new kind of palette for yourself when it comes down to it.
I would definitely we have a recipe book, me and my partner, and that book is more so towards healing. So it's a little bit more strict from someone who's coming from a standard American diet. So that book basically, it's more raw, has raw meals, and it has a little bit of cooked meals. A lot of it is comfort foods, close to comfort foods. But then again, like I wouldn't recommend somebody who's coming from a standard American diet to just get it and just like start eating raw right away.
Yeah.
Raw meals that we did put in that book are amazing. Like I can say it, and I'm not a big fan of raw eating. I do it to detox and cleanse, but to say I want to be raw for the rest of my life, I was just having a discussion. I'm still debating about that.
Right.
But we had that book, and then like again, there's a bunch. I know Food for Negus. She has a YouTube page that has over 30 plus free recipes, all alkaline, plant-based. Ty's Conscious Kitchen, Eat to Live Not to Die. His queen actually has a recipe book out that has all recipes for Caribbean and West African dishes. So fufu with the egusi, plant-based and alkaline. Who else? What else he has? Caribbean dishes where they jerk chicken, jerk oyster mushrooms with rice and peas, but instead of it being, coconut rice and peas, it'll be coconut garbanzo bean and quinoa. So there's, I don't have the book, but I'm sure it's fire.
Well, you said you and your partner have a book about recipes. Talk about that. Is it available for people to get? Is it on Amazon? They got to go to your website. How do they get that?
Yeah, I mean, you can go to internalshowers.bigcartel.com. And that's actually in the link of our internal _plant-based. that link is going to give you access to all of our products, from our detoxification herbs to our sea moss infused shea butter, our sea moss gel, dried sea moss, and as well as our recipe book.
Good. And so for your book, it does kind of, if you have some kind of element that's happening, someone could go to that page and say, okay, I'm trying to deal specifically with that directly, or it kind of just goes overall, the holistic version of this, dealing with healing your body from everything.
For the book specifically?
The book you have, yeah. Is it page turn for each one?
Yeah, I would say it basically helps you to get an idea, like for someone who has no idea of how to eat raw, like say, for example, someone books a consultation and, you know, they just said that their doctor diagnosed them with HSV, for example, and they know that they need to eat raw for a certain amount of time before even doing the liquid fast. Mm-hmm. But they have no idea. They're like, raw, oh my God, I'm gonna just have smoothies and salads every damn day. Like, that book would assist with getting creative outside of salads and smoothies.
Got it. Okay. That's great. That's good. And that's what people need. And like you said, there's a plethora of information and research, and that's probably like the basis of that. But and when you look at just the journey you've had and people who've come to you and asked for your consultations, what advice would you give them? You know, I mean, like I said, from the visual artist part of you, in terms of creating as well as kind of finding this journey of getting to holistic healing as well as plant-based, what was that advice would you give to those?
As far as like
just in terms of tapping into both parts of you, like you know, being the creative as well as finding that side of yourself that allowed you to get awakened by the fact that you want to be into plant-based. Just speak to both the things in terms of your journey in your life.
I would say that the journey comes from one, research, the greats that actually done the research and the practice before me, in addition to you know, going for what your body feels that it needs. If you feel like you need to heal, I would say, you know, definitely suggest and look more deeply into an alkaline diet. But if you're looking to become more healthier and kill generational curses for the diabetes that constantly pops up into our you know, generation, high blood pressure, things of that nature, the gout, all these things are caused by a certain type of eating. So once you make that I would say, make that commitment to say, I want to make that change. I want to commit to make that change and to stop these generational curses of things that they say it's hereditary. Then, you know, you can, you know, thus increase your acquisitions to make the change itself and as a whole.
That's great. That is so awesome, because it does, you know, like it starts with you, you know, making a decision and defining for yourself what is the kind of life you want to live. And that makes a difference. I mean, I've always had the conversation with people who are, whether they've decided to make the vegetarian and vegan, in terms of what that would look like. And I know that we've all had, because environmentally, we're getting things come at us and we don't realize it's our diet, and we just make those small changes. It probably will make the difference in our life. So
right. Anything that you have going wrong with your body, whether it be, you know, constant migraines, women, whether it be fibroids, whether it be abnormal discharge, whether it be even the smell of your breath or the yellowness of your eyes, those things. And Dr. Layla Africa had classes to classify different ailments according to just studying the face, studying the eyes, and also studying where you actually get acne at on your particular place, and how it can connect to certain organs that might have some sort of malfunctioning. And that always goes back to what you eat. So diet plays a role in everything.
Yeah.
Mental, spiritual, and physical. So, yeah.
Well, I thank you for sharing so much a part of your journey in terms of allowing us to step into your path that you've taken to holistic healing and plant-based eating, and how you are helping people to guide them through understanding it, as well as tapping into your visual art and in your art education program, and how that you're helping children to awaken that art part of them that, like you said, that they can learn how to do, because, you know, someone like you allowing them to tap into that. So we thank you so much for sharing that journey with us.
No problem at all.
And let everyone know where they can find you again.
Yeah, sure. My art page is Be Hill Artistry. Thankful for those that actually are joining in here. Be Hill Artistry. That is my Instagram page. My website is behillartistry.com. That website will contain, I have to update it, y'all, don't judge me, but it contains recap videos of all of my art education missions in all schools, whether in Jamaica or West Africa. And it has some footage of past live painting performances, last exhibitions, collaborative exhibitions, solo exhibitions, etc. What else? I think that's and then also a quick research about my international comparative analysis that I did for my master thesis. What actually led me to even start art education with B Hill. So that is what, where you can find me there. And then you can find me for the plant-based side is plant-based_B Hill. And then me and my partner have a page together called internal_plant-based. It's a lot of pages, I know.
Just follow them all, because she has a wealth of information and knowledge that we all need to garner from and gain to gain more insight in our own lives. And I appreciate that, because I was just saying, I was like, the virtual show in terms of art, because we're not in the space, we all could connect with one another. I want to be able to do that. So maybe we can do like a plant-based virtual art show.
Right. Yeah, one of my ideas, especially when moving out of the country, is thinking about a cafe that targets both, juices as well as an art studio to be able to showcase artwork, have opening receptions and things of that nature. So they both can definitely go hand in hand.
I completely can see that. Like, you can't come in here if you're bringing a burger. You got to come in here straight plant-based, and that's it. So, I love it. But I thank you so much. I thank you for being such a guiding light, because people need those, who are helping those who are often feel like, I don't know where to get started. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get started. So you being a guiding light for others, and I, pave the path of your journey so that it is, helping others to get to that space. So we thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. And I'm not sure if we have time, but I know I have questions.
Sure. Go ahead.
Because I know some people ask through this platform, but thank y'all for asking those questions. I appreciate that. And I'm looking at these questions here on my plant-based page right now. I'm going to ignore that. Let's see. So are you saying an alkaline fruit diet is the best detox or restoration? Yes. So that's what someone asked. So are you saying alkaline fruit juice diet is the best detox for restoration? I would say yes. The ultimate healing fasting practice is a water fast. Water fasts are the fastest healing practices that you can do. If you can go on a water fast for 10 days, you can cure a lot of different things. My king, who's a detox specialist, certified detox specialist, he actually did some research. I forgot the name of the of the doctor, but he actually he's a licensed doctor that has a facility for water fasting only. He puts people on 40-day water fast to cure things like high blood pressure. I don't know, a whole bunch of stuff, the gout, things of that nature. He actually also seen some research of some people who did a water fast for 40 days and cured homosexuality. So those, water fasting and liquid juice fasting are the best ultimate practices for curing. Weed Lifesaver TC Marsh, drink to live, be happy, eat to live. I don't know what that, I'm so sorry. I don't know. What did you cure yourself from? If you missed that, the human papillomavirus. I think that's all the questions that we basically have. I'm surprised no one asked about my pregnancy journey. That's interesting. Yeah. How long do you recommend doing a water fast for? It depends on what you're healing. I'm not a big water fast person. I would ask Internal Showers, my partner, that, because he's done a 7-day water fast. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of water fasting. I believe in its healing properties, but I don't think I'm built for that just yet. Will I feel weak and slow during the water fast? Absolutely. I think that's about it. But yeah, I thought somebody was really going to ask about my pregnancy journey. That's interesting. No one did that. That's fine. but I can guess that's it. That's all the questions that I had.
Well, I alluded to it when I had said about the, what I was asking about the conception part of it. I didn't want to be too invasive about it because I know you put it up there in terms of the, part of that in terms of like not taking prenatal pills. And I saw that portion of it, but, go ahead and speak to that.
Yeah, I think just eating, eating on a plant-based lifestyle, curing myself prior, cleansing myself from all those years of just junk of just the standard American diet, led me to have a healthy pregnancy. A woman's womb would tell a lot about a woman's health, and not even my opinion, but more so in like research, factual research. What your womb tells you, your menstrual cycle, how heavy your flow is, what type of pains you go through during your menstrual cycle, that'll all tell you, what you need, how much detoxification you need to undergo, or how much detoxification is happening, according to what you eat. So, with my years of eating like this, I felt like I had a pretty much easy pregnancy. I had one sonogram and I was only 7 weeks, just to, because we didn't believe we were pregnant. We was like, what? So that was the only technical or technology thing that I placed on my womb for the entire pregnancy. So no prenatal pills, no sonograms beyond 7 weeks, no doctor, never seen, I seen an OBGYN once in that first trimester as well. Other than that, licensed midwives that never looked inside of me, not once, because they do feel like it is invasive, and they are more intuitive birthing practitioners. And, taking my herbs, taking iron, a plant-based iron, which we also provide prenatal and postpartum iron, taking that supplement every day, which is just a brew of barks and berries, and to keep my iron levels between 10 and 14, which is the healthy rate for a pregnancy. If you go below 10, you're considered to be anemic and might be prone to blood transfusion during labor. So I kept my iron levels above 10. With the iron compound. I also took sea moss every day. And thus I had my baby boy naturally at home in our bathtub, active labor for under, I will say, about 4 hours, 5 hours.
That's amazing.
No tearing, no excessive bleeding. My midwives came to the house about 30 minutes after he was just holding in my arms. So yeah.
That's great. That's amazing. But that's so great. Well, thank you for sharing that part of you. And again, we thank you for being here and sharing your journey with us. And again, all those who want to connect with Be Heal, make sure you follow her on all her social media platforms and her website, connect with her website. If you are interested in getting a consultation with her, you can do so too by connecting with her on her site. But thank you again for sharing your journey. Thank you again for being a guiding light. You be well. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Take care. And for all those out there watching, thank you again for joining us on Inspire. If you know of anyone who has been an inspiration to you and you want them to come on and share their journey, please send us a message at inspiredbyanonus@gmail.com, and make sure you're following us on our platforms of social media on Facebook at Inspired by Enonus. That's Instagram and Facebook, and we're also on YouTube. So make sure you can connect to the videos and learn information and find out in journeys of others. And we have young entrepreneurs out there we've connected to, and all those who want to share their journey and inspire others. And if you like to donate to our platform, we are definitely accepting great donation. Appreciate you sharing, but also appreciate your donation. Everything you give goes to this platform and helping us build the platform out and helping us connect to others. But if you want to donate to Cash App at $ at Keyana Tennant, and you can send that right there below. You see Keyana Tennant on Cash App. And make sure it's 2 N's in the beginning and an N at the end. Some people forget that part. When you pull it up, you'll find it if you want to, donate to. And we also have shirts available. So if you haven't followed us on Instagram, make sure you go and check out. Look, Kiana's wearing one right now. That one's fly, right? You can see with a hat. We got sweatshirts, shirts. So make sure you follow us. You can go and get some shirts and support, because this platform is about connecting others, so it can be an inspiration to us all, because I'm inspired every time I'm able to connect to someone on their journey and finding out more about where they are in their life. So we thank you all so much for joining us. Keyana, do you have something to say? You want to
I
say
just want to
something?
thank everyone who's been joining us. I also want to thank all those who have purchased shirts. Your shirts are on the way. Thank you for the support. We really appreciate all the love that we've been getting.
Yes, thank you all. But until then, remember, we inspire together. Be well.